My body of work might make more sense if you understand where I'm coming from and how I got started with this style. So back in 2005, I was working a summer job as a landscaper, and I knew that come September, I'd be starting my big thesis in my final year of art school. And I really wanted to hit the ground running, and because if I don't have a clear goal, I just kind of wander aimlessly and jump between styles and ideas, and most of what I produce is crap. So I laid out all these intricate plans, and I mentally sketched out about 20 images, and I knew I could paint them. At the time, I was producing a lot of work that looked like this. While it doesn't necessarily photograph all that well, the iridescent metallic colors glitter and shift like jewels, creating a very alluring effect. The challenge was integrating this technique into larger images and compositions, rather than the all-over textures I've been producing, because these look great on a small scale, but on a large scale it just turns into a cluttered mess and is awful. So September arrived and I started testing out my ideas, and every single one of them failed miserably. Over the next 4 months, I produced nothing but garbage. It was all crap. A waste of time, a waste of supplies, and it just felt awful. One of my professors mentioned I just need to find my unique thing, like a hook, something that's my voice. And I finally had that spark during a showing of, what's her name? Denise Tommaso. Anyway, she had her recent show, and she's long time been one of my favorites. And I wanted to steal some of her magic and use it in my own. So I was looking carefully and I thought, the line work, that's the key. I have to put lines all over my stuff. So I started putting lines all over stuff, and it was certainly a step in one direction. Unfortunately, it wasn't the right one. One of my thesis profs who I'd been clashing with saw these and commented that I was certainly onto something. But I had to find a mark-making technique that was genuine to me, something that fit with my own sensibilities. At the time, I had no idea what she meant by this, but I knew that they weren't working, and I just moved on to something else. Over the Christmas break, I had my first hint of free time, and I started playing video games for the first time in like 4 years. I just, screw it all, gonna chill out and relax. And it turned out that these games had a bigger impact on my work than I ever would have imagined. It was just that missing piece of the big puzzle that I had floating around up here in that old noggin. The rush of data on the computer screen with the HUD and the graphics and the fancy explosions and the voice telling me things, and just this rush of overstimulation kind of reminded me of, you know, the old country boy moving to the big city, and also it felt fitting with the times with, you know, Twitter and Facebook and MySpace at the time, and YouTube, and just the internet and this plethora of information just flying at you constantly. So I took a bunch of screenshots, collaged them in Photoshop, and was very surprised by the results. And I looked at it and thought, no way I can paint that. Way too hard. Challenge accepted. I was about halfway through the painting, and I was looking at the pencil lines on canvas surrounded by a few areas of just roughly blocked in color, and I knew I was definitely onto something. It was the first time in months I was actually excited about something I was working on. And then I took it too far and ruined it. During the critique, I sat there looking at the finished piece, and I couldn't help but think about how much better it looked when it was only half done. And this is where the natural laziness in me chimed in. Well, if it looks better when it's only half done, just half do everything, and you can produce twice as much. And who can argue with that? I started sketching out another copy of the same image and outlining and blocking in areas of color, and I was extremely pleased by what I was producing. The line work didn't quite seem right. It looked like a half-finished sketch, not a completed piece, so it was still missing something. And all this fine brushwork was not making my inner expressionist happy. I wanted to come up with something fast and exciting. I don't know where the idea came from, but I took an old milk bag, loaded it up with paint, cut out a corner, and just started squeezing on thick lines of paint. And it was magic. It just felt right away. It felt like I had found my own unique, genuine mark-making technique, because this was 2006. I hadn't seen that before. It kind of became trendy 2 years ago, so I'm glad I was on it 6 years ago. And just gave everything I did this really unique look. So I cranked out a few more paintings, finished my thesis, I graduated, and I spent the next few years trying to figure out what direction to push the style. And this was yet another long period producing crap. But I did learn one important thing from this. Don't try to force change, just let it happen naturally. In 2008, I turned off my brain and just started cranking out stuff without thinking. The idea was just let it change on its own. Let the work inform my decisions. If it's going to go in one direction or another, it's going to be the work telling me, not me trying to force it upon the work. So I've been going through that direction over the years, and it's been changing and shifting a little bit over that time. I've certainly noticed a refinement to my skills. I can look back to what I did a few years ago and think, oh god, I can't believe I showed that. Like, I thought that was good. Lately, I've started thinking that I'm focusing too much on replicating the sketch. I want it to be more painterly again. So yeah, the next series I'm paying less attention to the initial sketch and just focusing more on the painting and having fun with it and going thicker. And I'm very happy with where it's going right now.